Single mom's hidden struggle exposed: how an incredible CEO transformed her life in 30 minutes. In the heart of a struggling suburban town, the weight of desperation hung in the air. At just 35, Sarah, a single mom of two, wore the mantle of financial worry on her shoulders. Each morning began with the frantic sound of alarm clocks blaring, the aroma of burnt toast filling the air as she rushed to get her kids ready for school, all while juggling her two part-time jobs. The reflection in the mirror told a story of exhaustion, dark circles under her eyes, a tightness in her chest that grew heavier with each passing day. People often overlooked the grace buried beneath her struggles, judging her life through a lens clouded with wealth and success. Every evening, Sarah settled her kids into bed, wrapping them in cozy blankets, whispering tales of hope and dreams that seemed impossibly distant. As they drifted off to sleep, she felt a familiar ache, the desire for a better life for them, one that inspired not just survival, but joy. But society viewed her through narrow eyes, branding her invisible, her love and relentless effort overshadowed by the specter of judgment and comparison. One fateful day, at a community event buzzing with chatter, Sarah felt a surge of energy as people gathered, yearning for connection and inspiration. Enter Lisa, the charismatic CEO whose presence felt magnetic. With infectious confidence, she chronicled her rise, revealing the obstacles she had fought through, championing the forgotten voices of the community. The crowd sat riveted, but for Sarah, a spark ignited. Could she really reach out to someone so successful, someone who seemed worlds away from her struggles? With her heart racing, Sarah approached Lisa, her palms clammy with both hope and fear. Yet, as she opened her mouth to speak, she felt a chill of hesitation in Lisa's eyes, a flicker of judgment lurking beneath the surface. It would been easy to retreat. But the weight of her dreams pushed forward, and Sarah found her voice. "I work 2 jobs. I'm doing my best to raise my kids in this tough world," she confessed, her words tumbling out, each one a piece of her heart. Without rehearsing it, she painted a picture of sleepless nights, how she fought through each day with grit, balancing part-time jobs with school meetings, all while raising 2 incredible kids. "I want to give them the world," she said, her eyes glistening with tears. As she shared, Sarah felt something shift, a glimmer of recognition in Lisa's expression as she began to see beyond the surface. It was as if the bold strokes of Sarah's life story were challenging Lisa to re-examine her OWNI. In that moment, their worlds collided, forging a bond that pierced through social divides. Lisa resonated with Sarah's resilience, and with a decisive spark, she offered to mentor her. A lifeline extended to someone who felt, until then, utterly alone in the shadows of society's expectations. The warmth of hope enveloped Sarah, igniting a fire in her soul, a beacon that would light the path ahead. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but just as Sarah dared to dream anew, shadows of doubt crept back in. What if this opportunity slipped through her fingers? Faced with a crossroads, she asked herself, could her newfound courage be the answer to carving a brighter future for her children? Would she rise to meet this moment, or would the weight of society's judgment drown her hopes once more? The air hung heavy, and as Sarah stood on the brink of change, uncertainty loomed tantalizingly close. What lay ahead could alter everything. As Sarah drove home that evening, the car filled with the chatter of her kids bouncing with energy and joy from their day at school, the hum of the engine seemed to echo her racing thoughts. She held on to the memory of Lisa's words, simple yet transformative. It felt surreal that the CEO had seen her, truly seen her, past the layers of struggle. Was this the chance she had been waiting for all along? The thought made her pulse quicken as hope battled against the familiar specter of doubt. Dinner was a whirlwind of chaos, piled plates, and giggles clattering around the kitchen table. Despite the noise, Sarah's mind was far from the colorful array of macaroni and cheese the kids devoured. "Mommy! Watch this!" Bobby, her youngest, boasted as he balanced a spoon on his nose, while Ellie recounted every detail of her latest school project. Laughter filled the room, but a weight still rested upon Sarah's chest, a mixture of optimism and fear. "Mom, are you okay?" Ellie's innocent eyes searched her mother's face, a flicker of concern overshadowing her excitement. Sarah snapped back to reality, smiling to mask the storm brewing inside her. Of course, sweetie. Just thinking about some really exciting stuff, she replied, pushing away the knot in her throat. That night, as she tucked the kids in, Sarah's heart swelled, and she felt herself slipping into the softer side of her thoughts. She wondered what kind of future Lisa could help her create. Would she finally see herself as someone deserving of success, not just a single mother struggling to get by? As Sarah laid in bed, waves of fear crashed over her again. What if she failed? What would that say to her children? But she had already shown them strength, they had already seen their mother fight for every small victory. Perhaps, deep down, she had more strength than she realized. What was it that Lisa said? It takes one step, just one, to change everything. Morning came too soon, blurring the lines between anxious anticipation and dread. The moment Sarah looked in the mirror, she made a decision. This was it. She would reach out to Lisa, embrace this opportunity, and see where it could lead. The kids were off to school, and as Sarah sat in her favorite nook with her laptop open before her, her heart raced. She typed several drafts of an email, nervous energy coursing through her fingers. Each time she hesitated, she pictured her children as smiling faces. The words "I need your guidance" echoed in her mind, and she finally hit send. Afterward, uncertainty hung in the air like the last notes of a song fading away, leaving her to grapple with what she had just done. Would Lisa respond? Would this leap of faith lead to something better? Later in the day, as Sarah was folding laundry, a ping from her phone sent her heart racing. A reply. As she opened it, the weight of hope surged through her. But just as excitement swelled, she hesitated. Could this truly be the change she had longed for, or was this just another fleeting moment? Taking a deep breath, she opened the message, expecting the words to offer direction or solace. But what she found inside sent her into a spiral. The email contained an unexpected twist, one that could alter everything she had daringly begun to believe for herself and her kids. As Sarah read the email, her hands trembled. The words blurred at the edges, but she pushed through, determined to understand. Lisa's response was warm, inviting, but the twist left her breathless. Instead of offering her the mentorship she sought, Lisa had proposed something far bolder: an opportunity to join her team as an intern. It was a program designed for women re-entering the workforce, meant to bridge gaps and mentor in real time. What? Sarah whispered, her heart racing wildly. She felt a surge of emotions: surprise, disbelief, excitement, and a hint of fear. An internship? Could she really pull it off? Juggling her job, her children, and now a role that would demand even more of her time felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. Her mind began racing, battling conflicting thoughts. Could she find a way to make this work? What would the children think if they saw her spread too thin? They already depended so much on her. Would she be letting them down? But then, somewhere inside her, a quiet voice reminded her what was at stake. This might be the chance she needed to change their lives for the better. Taking a deep breath, Sarah leaned back in her chair, feeling her pulse steady as though awaiting an answer to her unspoken doubts. She imagined Ellie and Bobby, their bright smiles and laughter piercing through the fog of anxiety. They were counting on her too, to show them that dreams weren't just for the lucky or the bold, they were meant for anyone willing to take that first step. What do I have to lose? She murmured. It felt like a turning point, and the gravity of her decision began to settle in deeper. The reality was daunting, but the prospect of change began to hum with an electricity she hadn't felt in years, but she knew she couldn't rush into this. There were so many factors to consider. Could she manage her existing job while pursuing this new path? And how would she explain it to the kids? They were young, but they understood the weight of her commitments all too well. Just then, the doorbell rang, breaking the silence. Startled, Sarah rose to her feet, glancing at her phone just as her heartbeat quickened again, a reminder of her responsibilities still lingering, waiting for her attention. She opened the door to find Mrs. Thompson, the neighbor from down the street, standing there with a pie. "Hi, Sarah. Just wanted to drop by and say hello," she chirped, her warm smile instantly soothing Sarah's racing heart. "Thanks, Mrs. Thompson." "That is so sweet of you," Sarah said, dropping her previous worries for a brief moment to enjoy the company. As they chatted, sharing small talk about the kids and recent happenings around the neighborhood, Sarah felt the familiar warmth of community surrounding her, comforting yet grounding. The conversation soon turned to work-life balance, and before she realized, Mrs. Thompson was sharing her own stories of juggling her job while raising her 3 children. You have to take time for yourself too. It's not selfish, it's necessary, she emphasized. The words resonated deeply with Sarah. Could balancing an internship with motherhood truly be possible? She felt emboldened by her neighboress' insight, as if sparks of possibility were igniting in her mind. When Mrs. Thompson left, Sarah returned to her laptop, heart still pounding from the unexpected push towards clarity. Steeling herself, she began drafting her response to Lisa, ready to accept the offer, but as she typed, something else bubbled to the surface. How could she best prepare for this leap? Just when she finally felt ready to send her reply, another ping startled her, a message from Ellie. Mom, can I come home after school today and help with dinner? Her daughter's text was innocent enough, but it hit Sarah like a wave. Would Ellie learn how to pursue her dreams if her mother underpinned hers with sacrifice? Deciding immediately, Sarah stepped away from her laptop and hugged herself, feeling warmth flood her heart. She would share everything with her kids, let them see her journey and struggles. They would be part of her story. Every step of the way, with that decision made, she opened the email again. But as she read her drafted reply, doubt crept in again. Was she enough to handle both? Was it a good decision for her family? As she sat there, lost in thought, another notification pinged, a reminder for her daughter's school meeting. It jolted her back, prompting a deep breath. It was now, or never. Sarah took a moment, closed her eyes, and hit send, but as she leaned back, satisfied for the moment, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a wild ride, one filled with uncertainty and promise. What awaited her now? Would accepting this internship unleash strength she didn't know she had, or would it expose her struggles in ways she wasn't ready for? With her heart racing and hopes rising once more, Sarah knew she was on the brink of transformation. The real question was, could she navigate this new terrain without losing herself along the way? Sarah stood in her living room, her heart still fluttering from the adrenaline of decision-making. The screen of her laptop dimmed, reflecting her mixed emotions back at her. Had she really hit send? Part of her wanted to grab it back, to erase what she had just committed to. Another part, the stronger part, began to buzz with anticipation. She moved to the kitchen, where the smell of bubbling pasta filled the air. Bobby and Ellie would be home soon, and she wanted to be ready with a smile, to reassure them that everything was okay. But was it really? She felt the weight of her choices like a lead balloon in her stomach. The door creaked open, and she heard their laughter before she even saw them, the sound a balm to her nervousness. Soon, Ellie bounded into the kitchen, her backpack swinging wildly as she shrugged it off. Hey, Mom. What's for dinner? Ellie chirped, her energy contagious. Pasta and your favorite sauce. Sarah replied, forcing a smile that felt a little too tight. Ellie let out a joyful squeal and plopped onto a chair, kicking off her sneakers. Bobby followed, dragging in his own mix of banter and charm. Did you save me the biggest plate? He asked with a grin. Watching them, Sarah felt fleeting guilt and joy intermingle. This was what mattered most. Their happiness was her happiness. As they settled into dinner, the conversation flowed easily. Bobby recounted a funny story from school, while Ellie shared her ideas for a class project. Their banter filled the small kitchen, wrapping Sarah in a sense of normalcy that felt both cherished and precarious. After dinner, as the children started on their homework, Sarah stole a moment of quiet. She leaned against the kitchen counter, hands gripping the edge tight. She had stepped into the unknown, but was she ready? Could she balance it all? Just then, her phone vibrated, slicing through her thoughts. It was a message from Lisa. The words read, "I can't wait to have you on board. Let us schedule a call tomorrow to discuss your start date." A thrill shot through Sarah, followed by a wave of panic. She didn't have the slightest idea how she would manage this workload, especially with the kids needing her. Was she jumping in too fast? Her mind whirled with schedules and strategies, but before she could spiral too far, she reminded herself of Mrs. Thompson's advice: you have to take time for yourself. Taking a deep breath, she decided to share the news. Gathering the kids, she sat down at the living room table, their homework sprawled before them like an invitation to abandon their tasks for a moment. "Kids," she started, her voice steady despite the rapid beating of her heart. "I got an offer today. A job opportunity that means a lot to me." Ellie looked up, curiosity lighting her eyes. "What kind of job, Mom?" "It's an internship," Sarah said, choosing her words carefully. "It's a way for me to learn and grow in my career. But it will mean I might be busy sometimes." Bobby frowned, confusion clouding his features. "Busy how? Like more work?" "Sort of," Sarah acknowledged. "But it's also a chance for me to show you both that it's important to do what you love, no matter how hard it might seem." Ellie nodded slowly, then broke into a smile. "You can do it, Mom. Just like all those superheroes you always talk about." The unexpected encouragement made her heart swell. Sarah felt lifted by their optimistic belief in her. Maybe this was what she'd been searching for, not just a job, but the chance to inspire her kids to dream bigger. As they returned to their homework, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. It was going to be tough, but she wasn't alone. Each obstacle she faced would only bring her closer to living the life she wanted, not just for her, but for her kids too. And with that thought echoing in her mind, just as she was about to embrace the calm of the evening, her phone chimed again. A reminder for the school meeting. She glanced at the clock. She was already running late. Adrenaline surged through her once more as she quickly grabbed her keys. She was stepping into a whirlwind, but deep inside, she felt ready to embrace it all. What awaited her at that meeting? Would she find support, or perhaps another unexpected twist? Only time would tell, but one thing she was sure of: she was no longer standing on the edge, she was diving right in. The school hallway was buzzing with energy, brightly colored artwork adorning the walls like a vibrant roadmap of creativity. Sarah stepped inside, her heart racing as she glanced around for familiar faces. Parents chatted in small clusters, laughter mixing with the echo of squeaky sneakers on the polished floors. She could feel her anxiety creeping in, tightening its grip on her chest. What if they all judged her? What if she stumbled over her words trying to explain to the teachers what she wanted for her kids? Taking a deep breath, she pushed aside her insecurities. She wasn't there for anyone else but her children. She spotted Mrs. Rodriguez, Ellie's second-grade teacher, waving her over. "Sarah. So glad you could make it." The warmth in her voice was a salve to Sarah's nerves. "Thanks for having me." "I hope I'm not too late," Sarah said, forcing a smile that felt more genuine. "Oh, not at all. We were just about to discuss the upcoming projects," Mrs. Rodriguez said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Ellie is such a bright spot in class. She has really been excelling." Sarah felt a swell of pride at the compliment, but the weight of her own hidden struggle pressed down harder. It wasn't just the job, it was balancing everything. The kids, work, time for herself. And now this meeting. What if they wanted more from her than she could give? As the meeting started, she sank into the conversation, absorbing the insights shared by other parents and teachers. They discussed goals for the school year and how they could support the children. Sarah felt a flicker of excitement as ideas began to gel in her mind. Midway through, a hand shot up at the back of the room. It was a tall woman Sarah didn't recognize. "I'm Clara," she introduced herself, "and I'm the new CEO at the local tech company. I really believe in community involvement. How do you all feel about organizing some workshops to help the kids with tech skills?" Sarah's curiosity piqued. A CEO? Involved in the community? There was something so different about her. She seemed to radiate confidence while balancing a sense of approachability. As the discussion continued, Sarah felt drawn to Clara's energy. When the meeting wrapped up, Sarah took a risk and approached Clara. "Hi, I'm Sarah. I couldn't help but appreciate your enthusiasm during the meeting. I think workshops would be amazing for the kids." Clara's smile was bright. "Thanks, Sarah. I'm passionate about helping kids find their love for technology early on. What do you think? You should join us." The invitation was unexpected, but Sarah's heart raced at the thought of being involved outside of just being a mom. It was a chance to tap into that part of herself that had been dormant for so long. "I'd love to help. I have some ideas I'd like to share. Let us collaborate. Perhaps we can schedule a time to meet next week? Clara suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. They exchanged numbers, and Sarah felt a thrill of promise flutter inside her. For the first time in a while, she imagined the possibility of stepping into a role that stretched beyond her identity as a single mother. As she walked to her car, a small smile crept across her face. Deep down, Sarah knew this meeting was just a glimpse of what was to come. She felt a sense of empowerment bubbling up, pushing away whispers of self-doubt. But then, as she fumbled with her keys, an unsettling thought struck her. What if she couldn't keep up? What if they, the teachers, the other parents, expected too much from her? The questions lingered like shadows as she started the engine. Her heart raced, both with excitement and fear. Could she truly balance everything? Was it possible to follow her dreams while being the mother her kids deserved? The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the next chapter of her life was just beginning. What awaited her next? Would Clara become a mentor, or would challenges emerge that would test her resolve even further? The next week arrived in a blur of anticipation and nerves. Sarah found herself pacing in her kitchen before her meeting with Clara, the sun filtering through the window and casting long shadows across the table. She wanted to be excited, but anxiety gnawed at her, an unwelcome companion. It felt like a leap into the unknown. What if Clara expected too much? Should Sarah bring a notebook stuffed with ideas or simply come with an open mind? She settled on a blend of both, stuffing a small pad of paper into her bag along with some pens. It felt like a talisman of sorts, a way to steady her own thoughts. As she drove to Clara's office, a sleek building nestled among glassy structures, crowded her space. She recalled how easily Clara had commanded the room and captured everyone's attention. Who was she, a single mother, to think she could contribute anything of value? Pulling into the parking lot, Sarah took a moment to breathe. She centered herself, remembering Ellie's smile and the weight of her responsibilities. This wasn't just about her, it was for the kids. Clara greeted her with that same warm smile as Sarah entered the large, bright office. "Hey, you made it," she said, her voice laced with genuine enthusiasm. The office was filled with modern decor and walls lined with pictures of past community events. Clara radiated a sense of accomplishment, and Sarah felt the warmth push back her anxiety just a bit. "Thanks for having me. I hope I'm not interrupting anything," Sarah said, modestly shifting in her seat. "Not at all. I was just reading over some ideas we could brainstorm together. The kids need strong role models, and you're already there every day. You understand their needs better than anyone," Clara encouraged, her confidence gripping Sarah in unexpected ways. They spent the next hour discussing ideas, workshops that could ignite creativity, foster collaboration, and teach essential tech skills. The more Clara talked, the more Sarah found herself connecting the dots in her mind. Clara was inspiring, but beyond that, she was listening to Sarah. Her opinion mattered. "Let us brainstorm topics," Clara suggested, leaning forward with a spark in her eyes. The conversation flowed easily, and Sarah felt a rush of energy. "How about something fun like coding games or robotics?" "I love that," Sarah exclaimed, her excitement blooming. "We could even have a competition to engage them more." As they sketched out the basics, Sarah reveled in the ideas pouring forth. She could feel an electric thrill. For the first time in forever, she wasn't just defining herself by her role as a mother, this was a piece of her rediscovering joy. But as they wrapped up, an unbidden thought surfaced, a little voice that joined her lingering doubts. What if they involved a bigger commitment? What if she would have to push herself more? Could she juggle both? Clara must have sensed Sarah's hesitation, her eyes narrowing a fraction in concern. "You okay?" she asked gently. The question felt like a lifeline. I think so. It's just a lot to think about," Sarah confessed, allowing herself to be vulnerable. "I haven't taken on anything this big in a long time." Clara nodded, her expression softening. "Hey, I get it. I want you to feel excited, not overwhelmed. Remember, we're in this together." "Thanks, that really helps," Sarah replied, the tension in her shoulders easing. As they stood to leave, Sarah felt a surge of hope. This was more than a workshop, it was a chance to be part of something larger than herself. But doubt still lingered in the back of her mind, a reminder of the balance she had yet to find. Would she really be able to support Clara and the kids? As Sarah walked out of the office, her heart filled with both enthusiasm and unease. She couldn't shake the question, was this the beginning of something great, or a step too far? And what if she failed? The week following her meeting felt like a whirlwind. Sarah dove headfirst into planning for the workshop, poring over her notebook late into the night as Ellie slept soundly in the next room. Each idea bubbled up with excitement. Coding, games and robotics were only the start. She envisioned kids laughing, collaborating, and creating together. The thought ignited a spark in her that she hadn't felt in years, but along with that spark came a new batch of worries. The voice of doubt crept in again. What if things didn't go smoothly? What if the kids didn't connect with the material? What if she forgot a key point in her presentation? Restless nights followed, her thoughts racing even as her body craved rest. On Thursday, Clara invited her to a community meeting to share their ideas. You'll see how engaged everyone is, Clara assured her with a smile, full of her usual enthusiasm. Sarah hesitated but reminded herself this was about more than just her. It was for the community, for the children who deserved every opportunity to shine. The day of the meeting dawned bright and crisp. As Sarah drove to the community center, she could feel the lump in her throat. Her palms were sweaty on the steering wheel. When she entered the room, it was packed. Parents, teachers, and local business leaders buzzed with excitement, all gathered to discuss the upcoming workshops. Clara took the lead, her confidence radiating, and even though Sarah was nervous, a part of her felt anchored. When Clara paused and turned to Sarah, inviting her to present their idea, Sarah's heart raced. She took a deep breath, stepped forward, and opened her notebook. The initial rush of fear clouded her, but as she shared her vision, weaving in her ideas about practical coding sessions and collaborative projects, the room began to hum with interest. Faces in the crowd turned toward her, nodding and smiling. Sarah's voice grew steadier, her enthusiasm shining through. We want the kids not just to learn but to collaborate and create something together, something they can be proud of. I see this as a place where innovation and friendship intersect. The crowd's reaction overwhelmed her. There were whispers of approval, and smiles began to replace concerned faces. As she finished, Clara jumped in to emphasize the importance of support from the community, and suddenly Sarah was swept up in applause. It felt surreal. The fear that had wrapped around her heart slowly loosened its grip. For the first time, she saw the path unfolding before her not as one filled with daunting expectations, but as a bridge to something extraordinary. But as the applause faded and the questions began, doubt returned with a vengeance. A parent approached her, eyes bright but focused. How do you plan to handle unexpected issues that arise with the activities? He asked. In that moment, she felt naked, exposed. All her rehearsed plans and ideas seemed to fly out of her head. She hesitated, glancing at Clara, who gave her an encouraging nod. Well, we'll have a dedicated team in place to tackle any hiccups, and I'm here to learn alongside the kids. But in her heart, wonders churned. Would her inexperience undermine everything? What if she couldn't handle the pressure when things didn't go as planned? As the meeting wrapped up, Sarah felt a mixture of triumph and anxiety intertwining in her gut. She had shared her ideas. She had faced her fears. But the voice whispering that she might fail lingered heavily in her mind. Leaving the center, she felt like a tightrope walker balancing uncertainly, poised between hope and fear, a step away from something groundbreaking or back to her old self. What lay ahead was unknown, and deep down, she wondered, could she truly be the role model these kids needed? Would she rise to the challenge or let her insecurities pull her back? The following days blurred together, each moment filled with a mix of anticipation and dread. Sarah found herself back in her living room, surrounded by papers and sticky notes, rehearsing her workshops in front of an imaginary audience. Ellie often peered in, her curious eyes reflecting her mother's determination. "Mommy, are you talking to yourself again?" Ellie asked one afternoon, leaning against the doorframe with her arms crossed, a playful smirk on her face. Sarah laughed, her nerves easing a bit. "Just practicing, sweetie. It's like a big show." Ellie's excitement was infectious. "Can I help, please? I want to be part of the show too." Her daughter's enthusiasm revived a flicker of joy in Sarah, one that quickly tempered as she recalled her swirling doubts. Of course. You can be my helper. They turned the living room into a mock workshop, using Ellie's toys to represent coding lessons and robotics. Laughter filled the air as Ellie pretended to fix broken robots while Sarah explained how kids would get to build their own projects. Every giggle reminded Sarah of why she was doing this. The sparkle in Ellie's eyes shone just as brightly as the one she had seen in the audience that fateful night, yet, at night, Sarah's mind churned. Even though she captured that fleeting joy during the day, the dark thoughts resurfaced when she lay in bed. Would she genuinely inspire these kids, or was she just setting the stage for yet another disappointment? One evening, Clara called, eager to discuss last-minute details for the workshop. You've got this, you know? Just think about the impact you're going to have, she encouraged during their call. Do you really think I can do this? Sarah asked, her voice hesitant. Absolutely. You're not just teaching coding, you're changing lives. Clara's passion poured through the phone. Remember, it's about creating opportunities. The kids will follow your energy. Believe in yourself. The encouragement bolstered Sarah's spirits, but the pit in her stomach wouldn't fully dissipate. That night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, contemplating Clara's words. She pictured her students, their bright faces full of hope, and it struck her this workshop wasn't just about teaching. It was about showing these kids, including Ellie, how to embrace their creativity and become their own leaders. As the days edged closer to the workshop, Sarah felt the ground shifting beneath her. The task seemed more monumental with each sunset, yet also increasingly doable. Someone had asked her about handling unexpected issues, and she realized now that she needed to embrace uncertainty. The unexpected middle road was where creativity lived, but what electrified her heart was Ellie's unwavering support. You're the best mommy ever, her daughter had declared during dinner one night, her tiny hands gripping Sarah's tightly. As the day of the workshop approached, Sarah took a deep breath, letting her anxiety mingle with a growing sense of purpose. But doubt still lingered as she gazed into the mirror that morning. Was she really enough? As she prepared to leave, Ellie hugged her tightly, whispering, "You're going to be amazing, Mom." In that moment, a realization washed over Sarah. It wasn't just about her anymore. It never had been. She stepped outside, squaring her shoulders under the hopeful morning sun. As she climbed into her car, heart racing with anticipation and nerves, an unexpected thought struck her: what if this was beyond just her success? What if there was more at stake? And with that, she drove toward the unknown, feeling the weight of those questions blend into determination. But just as she turned onto the main road, her phone buzzed with a message that could change everything. Sarah's breath hitched as she glanced down at her phone, the screen lighting up with Clara's name. The message was short but packed a punch: urgent. Call me ASAP. I've got something important to share. Her heart raced. Was this about the workshop? The excitement and anxiety knotted together in her gut. With shaky hands, she dialed Clara's number and waited, each ring echoing the doubts in her mind. Sarah. Clara's voice burst through with an unusual urgency. I'll get straight to the point. A huge tech company is considering partnering with local leaders like you for educational workshops. They were impressed with your vision. Me? Sarah's voice barely rose above a whisper. She could hardly wrap her head around it. What do you mean? They want to meet you today. They see the potential you have to reach kids who need this. This could be a game changer. Clara exclaimed, every ounce of hope fought against disbelief. What are they looking for? I mean, I'm just a single mom trying to make a difference, Sarah stammered. They're looking for passion, real stories. You've got that in spades. Don't focus on the what-ifs, focus on the impact you can make, Clara urged. Their conversation pressed into Sarah's thoughts, flashes of Ellie's hopeful smiles, the laughter from their living room rehearsals, and the scared voice in her head that always tried to talk her down. What if this is my chance? She thought, catching her reflection in the rearview mirror. She looked determined and terrified all at once. As she arrived at the designated coffee shop, Sarah felt the familiar wave of anxiety wash over her. Would they belittle her or see her struggle as a weakness? Yet something inside flickered, igniting that spark of purpose from their laugh-filled mock workshops. She stepped inside, the aroma of roasted coffee mingling with the buzzing conversations, and scanned the room. A group of sharp-dressed individuals was gathered around a small table, deep in conversation. Clara waved her over, her smile wide. "Everyone, this is Sarah. The innovative mind behind the workshop approach we talked about," Clara said, introducing her with fervor. The group turned their attention to her, their faces bright with interest. Sarah felt her heart race, vulnerability sparking a fire in her chest. "Thank you for this opportunity. I want kids to realize they can create, that they're capable of more than they know," she stammered, her voice steadying as passion surged. "A noble vision," one of the executives said, nodding thoughtfully. "So many kids lack the resources. Tell us more about your approach." As Sarah delved into her ideas, she began to weave in personal stories how her own struggles as a single mom often acted as fuel to push her forward. She spoke about Ellie, her little partner in creativity, and the joy they found in learning together. The group leaned in, their attention unwavering. Midway through, one of the executives interrupted her. "Have you ever thought about expanding this? What if we could reach thousands of kids instead?" The question hung in the air like a heavy cloud. A mix of exhilaration and overwhelm washed over Sarah. Could she actually do that? And would her intimate connection with her own struggles still resonate if she reached that many? Her mind raced, unveiling new possibilities, and just as she opened her mouth to respond, her phone buzzed in her pocket again, Ellie's name flashing across the screen. She felt torn for a brief moment, the two worlds colliding, her ambitious dream and her loving daughter on the other end. In that pause, Sarah caught the eyes of the executives, their anticipation palpable. And suddenly, the stakes heightened for Sarah. This was no longer just about her fight, it was about her daughter and countless others like her, fighting to carve their paths in the world. Breathing deep, she silenced the fears and smiled. This moment could change everything, but what would her answer mean for the delicate balance of her life? And as she readied her response, a new wave of uncertainty crashed over her. Would she step out on faith or retreat into safety? In that moment, Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of dreams and hopes settle on her shoulders. She steadied herself, remembering the laughter of Ellie and Bobby, the warmth of their hugs. She realized this opportunity wasn't just about her anymore, it was about creating a future for them and every child facing challenges like hers. "I've never imagined that possibility before, but yes. I want to reach as many kids as I can," Sarah declared. The conviction in her voice surprised even her. "I know firsthand how hard it can be to feel like you have no options. If we can change that for just one child, it's worth it." The executives exchanged glances, nodding appreciatively. Clara's eyes sparkled with pride. "Now that's the spirit." One of the executives responded. "We can absolutely help you expand this vision. What do you need from us to make it happen?" The conversation flowed smoothly after that. They exchanged ideas about resources, mentorship programs, tech supplies for workshops, and even a platform for children to showcase their projects. The initial doubts began to fade as excitement took their place. Sarah felt her heart racing, the thrill of possibility igniting a fire inside her. As she wrapped up the meeting, she felt lighter, empowered even. "Thank you for believing in my vision. I can't wait to work together." Sarah felt a surge of warmth when she stepped out of the cafe, knowing she had just opened a door to a future she once thought unattainable. The days turned into weeks as plans took shape. Sarah was busy but exhilarated. Each workshop she prepared felt like an extension of herself, and for the first time in years, she felt truly alive. She often reflected on the journey that led her here, and it was the small, sweet moments with Ellie and Bobby that kept her grounded. Their proud smiles filled her heart again and again. The inaugural workshop day arrived, and as parents and children filled the space, Sarah felt a buzz of anticipation. She took a deep breath, her heart beating in rhythm with the energy around her. She pulled Ellie close, her tiny hand fitting perfectly in Sarah's. "You're going to crush it, Mom. Just like always," Ellie said, her eyes sparkling with confidence. As Sarah stepped forward to greet the kids, she paused, feeling that familiar wave of emotions. It hit her harder now, the gravity of this moment, the lifelong dreams materializing in front of her. "Welcome, everyone. Today is all about exploration and creativity, she said, her voice rising above the chatter. The room quieted, eyes focused on her. Every child looked eager, and that connection, that mixture of trust and excitement, fueled Sarah's energy further. As the first project kicked off, Sarah watched the kids dive into coding games and robotics. Laughter and joy echoed around her. The sight of children collaborating, their frustration melting into happiness as they worked through challenges, filled her with pride. Reflecting on her journey, it dawned on Sarah that these moments mattered. She wasn't just battling the world for her kids anymore, she was elevating the entire community. The days turned into months, and more workshops emerged, expanding to neighboring towns. Each success came with new struggles, but Sarah no longer felt alone. The support from Clara, her team, and the community continued to push her forward. She watched as young minds blossomed, and as they learned, she learned with them about leadership, resilience, and dreams, and as she stood on that stage one evening for a community forum, looking out at the families and children who were inspired by a single idea, she couldn't help but feel a swell of gratitude. I was once a single mother struggling to provide hope, she spoke passionately, but now, together, we are crafting futures not just for ourselves, but for generations to come. The applause surged, and just like that, Sarah realized that being a part of something greater had transformed her. No longer was she defined by her struggles, she was a beacon of hope. Later that night, as she sat with Ellie and Bobby, recounting the day's events, she felt a wave of peace wash over her. Ellie snuggled into her side, sleepy but content, and Bobby yawned, his head resting on her lap. "Mom, you're like a superhero," Ellie whispered, eyes heavy with sleep. Sarah smiled down at her children, her heart full. "No, sweetheart. I'm just your mom, and I'm more grateful for you both than you can imagine." She squeezed them tight, and in that moment, she knew this was only the beginning. They were embarking on this journey together, side by side, every step taken, every challenge faced, every dream chased would light the way for them. She had stepped into her own narrative, one defined not by struggle, but by triumph. The world was waiting, still wide open with endless possibilities. Now, here's the thing. None of this can keep happening without your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that can transform lives, just like Sarah's. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show you are part of this amazing journey. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this epic ending. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the hope and inspiration. Let's continue to uplift each other.